150 million tax-paying citizens and entities in this country. Making a lot of money, gonna have massive capital gains. We got Greg right here. He's what are you doing?
Adding that agency. What's his face?
Facebook stuff. Marketing is what it is.
Doing the Geo stuff?
No, the geotag already got sent over.
Oh, nice.
But it is that agency though, isn't it?
Yeah. I've seen so many different email names. I don't even know the correct name of the place.
Are they Direct Digital or V Digital or some bullshit like that?
New email has like a whole different URL.
What's up, people? We got Greg here setting up our ads on Facebook for what's the name of that campaign? This programmatic internet campaign I'm doing.
It should be done.
We'll see. Okay. All right. Someone is saying, "Hey, what's up? You know what? Give me." Yeah. Okay. How can a photographer be used for laundering? Asking for a friend. Well, I mean, you could really use any kind of side business that is cash intensive as a laundromat. Remember, this is illegal to launder your money, tax evasion, so keep that in mind. But the idea is that you would put the dirty money in place of invoices and whatever that you wrote. You could really do this with any business that has enough cash or enough capital and invoices and stuff moving around that it's not your sole income, because then you wouldn't have any real money going into your bank, and you need to have a good flux. Now, that's illegal. Don't do it. Just for your friend who we don't care if he's breaking the law or not, but I do care if you are, so don't break the law because I'm not going to do it for you. All right. EPA says lost his horse and he's paying a reward of $35,000. I don't know, man. I'm in the city. If we saw a horse here, there's probably a cop on it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, you know? Freddie says he won't break the law. Perfect. That's all I needed to hear. Now we're on the same page. Remember, and I've told you this before, and I'll tell you it again, the IRS only knows what you or somebody else tell them. Just make sure that, it's a voluntary system of compliance, so at the same time, you have a legal obligation to tell them what no one else has told them. But is anybody else going to tell them that? Not necessarily, depending on how you earned the money. Was it on a 1099 or a W-2? It's definitely going to get reported. Was it under the table? Maybe not. Okay. Do you have any law schools in particular that have good tax law programs? Well, yes. So I went to Loyola Law School for tax law LLM. It's one of the top ones in the country. There's Loyola, there's NYU Law School, and there is Georgetown. Those are some of the top tax programs in the country. AI, yes, I'm telling you, AI, man. I'm setting up all sorts of AI systems. That's the future, and we got to get ahead on it now. Customer service, actually legal work, all sorts of stuff the AI will do. It's crazy, so I'm trying to get ahead on that because AI is absolutely the future, my friends. Okay. Yes. Oh, nice. Sweet. That came fast. Do you like bubblegum ice cream? I'm going to go with no on that one. Like, bubblegum's like a weird flavor. It's like a mix between, like, mint and... What's bubblegum a mix of?
I don't know.
It's like mint and something else. I would go with watermelon ice cream or Rocky Road, I guess. I think I like pistachio gelato or something. It's pretty good. And then raspberry sorbet is good. That's about it for me. Okay. I got more of a refund paying a CPA $200 than I did paying $3,000. Total ripoff. Well, listen, that really has more to do with how much money you made each year and your deductions and what we could deduct, what you put away, than how much you paid your CPA. But I'm glad that you at least got some money back, my friend. That is the point, is it not? Anyways, so back to what I was saying about this AI, right? So I'm developing this IVR system, which is fancy way for, it's a menu of phone options that you could choose, and the AI is sophisticated enough to hear your response and take you through the thing. It turns out that it is pretty helpful both in terms of generating leads, people we actually want to talk to versus people who don't, and customer service as well. So in getting people to the right department, it's going to disrupt all of the industries, including whatever industries you guys work in. But just be aware and try to be ahead of it, because it's going to make a lot of millionaires, and it's going to make a lot of people a lot of money either way. Okay. Hi, I'm about to be a 1099 worker full time. What's the best way to pay myself? LLC, want to save on taxes? Well, if you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, you're going to pay yourself the same exact way, which is it's all just going to be ordinary income on your Schedule C. Because you're a small business on a 1099. LLC is a disregarded entity. Federally, you can't be an employee of a single member LLC. It's it just gets treated as a disregarded entity on the federal level. If you're making decent money, over $100,000, you could be an S corporation, in which case you can pay yourself a reasonable salary. What that is comes down to what industry you're working in and what other people are paying themselves. And then you would only pay self-employment tax on that portion of the income, and you could save the self-employment tax on the rest. Usually how it's done is 50-50, so you save half of your self-employment tax, which is 12.5% to 15%. So it's substantial. And then the ultimate entity, of course, is a C corporation. C corporation, then you would pay yourself on a W-2, payroll completely, wouldn't pay any self-employment tax. The corporation pays taxes, and then you pay taxes. Whatever you pay in taxes and your actual payroll is deductible against the corporation, so you don't get double taxed. Otherwise, if you don't do something like that, you will get double taxed, because you're going to pay 21% corporate tax. And if you just took a distribution, like you just went into the corporate account and took out the money, like $20,000, then you would have a $20,000 distribution, which would be taxable either at 15 or 20% on the individual level, which means globally you're paying at least 36, which is an issue. We don't want that to happen, because even if you just filed as an individual, you'd be paying 37. So no good. Okay, why do we pay sales tax after our paycheck is taxed? Is this not a double tax? Okay, we'll check it out, right? So your income is taxed by the federal government. Sales tax is not from the federal government. Now the state does double tax you, because they tax, most states actually, there's a few that don't have income tax, like Nevada or Florida or Texas. Most of the rest of them have income tax, which means they tax your income, and then they tax the sales tax too. Now they get a chunk of the sales tax. The other chunk of the sales tax goes to the local municipality. So here in Los Angeles County, we have higher sales tax than if you went to, inland into Kern County. It's a different county. Because the county, the city too, they all get a chunk of that sales tax. So if you buy something in Beverly Hills, it has a slightly higher sales tax than here in LA. And so they're all breaking it up, but it's mostly local municipalities that make sales tax. But it is the state ultimately that controls it. And it's the IRS that it controls income tax, because state income tax follows federal income tax. So it's two different systems. The state does get double dip, and they triple dip on payroll and everything. So I mean, that's nothing new. But the main takeaway is sales tax is a state tax, and income tax, I mean, the most of what you're paying in income tax is the federal tax, so there is state income tax as well. Okay. All right. All right, you guys are saying boycott Target, and I hear you. I think the interesting thing is it's like Target was getting in trouble for the exact opposite year thing like less than 10 years ago, so they kind of like are like flip-flopping back and forth. Anyways, can I purchase inventory with crypto and write it off as an expense? Yes, your crypto is considered an asset, and so when you purchase inventory with crypto, it's going to be considered that you purchased it at the fiat value of that crypto, and so you're going to either have a capital gain or a capital loss on that specific crypto, depending on if you sold it for a higher price or a lower price, and then you're going to have an ordinary loss that you've spent on the income. So the weird thing there is you're not going to be able to write off your ordinary loss against your capital gain, or vice versa, to the extent of over $3,000, which obviously we're talking about. However, you will be able to use that ordinary loss against the ordinary income that then you generated from selling your inventory. Also, in a lot of crypto situations, because the IRS is still in the jury box with how they're treating everything, there's some capital gain situations where you're able to treat as ordinary income and vice versa, such as staking, farming, that kind of thing. Okay. If you get a loan for a vehicle for business expenses, do you get what you spend back? If you get a loan. Oh, okay. So if you get a loan for a vehicle, that the vehicle is the business expense, do you get what you spend back? Well, actually, so let me rephrase your questions. What you're asking is, yes, what's up? So what you're asking is, if you spend $100 on something that's a deductible business expense, how much money are you actually saving? Well, it's not $100. It's whatever your effective tax rate is. So if you're paying the corporate tax rate, that means every $100 you spend on a car, you save $21 when you write it off. If it's individual rates, it could be up to $37 for every 100. Depends what tax bracket you are in, but that's how it works, because it's not a tax credit. A tax credit would be dollar for dollar, and you get a refund for it. A deduction is reducing your taxable income, which means it reduces what you pay in taxes by whatever your taxable rate is. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Does it make sense to start a holding company and wholly owned subsidiary for operations if it's your first business? It makes sense to start a holding company and wholly owned subsidiary for ops for the first business. I mean, it depends how much stuff you're doing. If you're doing different industries, then you're going to want to have different entities. It sounds like you have one business, so one entity should be good enough. You want to start out as LLC, a baby entity. Once you start making enough money to be an S Corp, $100,000 or so, be an S Corp. Once you start making enough money to be a C Corp, $300,000 or so, then be a C Corp. That's how you do it. Okay. Why would you boycott Target? They did the right thing and pulled the weird stuff off the shelves. I think because everyone's just angry and it doesn't really matter. Everyone just wants to get mad, right? Okay. Hey, Ty, what's up, Financial Dad? When we get 30% back from Voyager, can we write off the rest? Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about the casualty loss that you received. And if we treat it as a business casualty loss, you can. If you treat it on an individual, probably not, though. It was, there were certain areas that were federally declared disaster zones last year, which interestingly enough, is what allows casualty losses since 2017. But if it isn't a business count, we could absolutely count it as a business loss. And what I think I have seen a lot of, I think I've seen the IRS take a private letter ruling where they allowed massive crypto Ponzi scheme losses as acceptable business losses. So if we have some Schedule C things there, we can do that. So if you need some help with that, I got you. Okay, what's a good source to find out what I can and can't write off for my photo business? Listen, the definition of a deduction or write-off is anything, any cost incurred in the pursuit of profit. So you can write off literally anything. I mean, the list of what you can't write off is more just what limits you. Like, you know, you write off a leased car. You could write off. You can't write off clothes because you can wear them on the street. So they say that you can't do that. But your cameras, your film, your employees, obviously, advertising, obviously, office, obviously, anything that you need for that kind of stuff, the car to get back and forth from where you're taking pictures. These are all legitimate deductions. I mean, there's a gang of stuff that you can write off, and so you're gonna find a list online. I don't know. Maybe why don't you type in deductions for a photography business? But yeah, it's gonna be any kind of equipment, computer, software, internet, that kind of stuff. Okay. Will a big increase in revenue from a business like a car wash trigger an audit for money laundering? Well, yeah. So that's why I was saying before that if you are going to engage in that certain illegal activity, which I don't recommend you do because it's illegal, you already have to have a business that's doing an amount of money that when you put through your laundered money, it's not going to really change their books that much. For example, if you have a business that's doing $20 million a year, you could launder a couple $1 million through it probably without setting off any alarm bells. Now, if your car wash is doing $2 million a year and then the next year it did 30, that could be an issue, especially when you don't have the proper invoices or it doesn't make financial sense to your other financials. So yeah, you got to watch out for that. And remember, money laundering is a felony, so you could go to jail for a long time for that. So just be careful. Don't do anything illegal. At least don't be stupid, I guess. But I can't honestly recommend that you do that because it is very illegal. Okay. What's the best way to reimburse business expenses used on personal cards? Okay, so you just got to make sure that you're going to want to take notes, put it in QuickBooks or however else you take, however else you write books, because you need to account for the fact that you took this expense on a personal card instead of a business card. And what I would do here at my business is we have reimbursement sheets. If anybody did that, and I'd fill it out and give it to accounting, and then it's on the books that, and then I would actually just get reimbursed by the business. And so that's how it happens. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm trying to buy a tractor, but $90K is tight for me. Also, you can lease that tractor, and it would still be 100% a business deduction every your lease down payment and all the money on it. But because it's a tool, it's a tractor, it would apply for, or it would get bonus depreciation. You'd be able to get right off that entire $90,000 in year one if you did buy it. And if you sold it, you'd have to recapture that depreciation. How the hell do I find a good accountant? Well, we got a number in the bio. Give me a call. I'd love to help you out. Link is in the bio with the number. Okay, I sold a home and made a profit. Lived in the house for 10 years. Will I pay gains if I don't use it? I sold a home and made a profit. Lived in the house for 10 years. Will I pay gains if I don't use it? Well, you sold the home and made a profit, so you have gains, whether you use it or not. If and you lived in the house, so it's your primary residence, so it's not a 1031 situation. So you're going to have gains. Now, what you could do is, there are trusts that exists that you could have what's called a deferred sale trust, and then you would receive just pieces of that money over time, and you'd pay taxes on it as you got it. But yeah, if you sold an asset for a profit, you are going to owe capital gains tax on it. Hopefully you have some capital losses, or if you have some crypto, you can wash sale something while it's down and generate some losses for you. How to know when it's time to switch from single entity LLC to C Corp if business revenue is approximately 300K. Okay. I would say revenue over 300K, but we're talking also if you have any employees, if you have any partners, these are all things that I would say warrant putting you in a C corporation, because otherwise taxes are split 50-50 even if you didn't take all the money and your partner did. So it's the best way to protect yourself from liability, which again is the fourth one. If you're doing anything, including making money, that people are liable to sue you for, and listen, they'll sue you for anything, including making money, then you're going to want to be in the best type of liability protection that you can be, which is C corporation. Okay. Okay, is whole life insurance bad? Well, I talk about this a lot actually. Whole life insurance isn't necessarily bad. What it is kind of a scam, because they're charging you, let's say, 10 times as much for the same amount of life insurance, but you get a fund to, that you get at the end if you're still alive, right? So, but it's less than if you had just taken that equal amount of money and put it in the market, because that's how the insurance company makes money. They make big commissions off of these. So if you want life insurance, I would just get term life insurance, because then you're paying what it's actually worth. And if you're at before the end of the term, and if you're gonna die, you could sell your life insurance policy to someone else. So that's also something that you can do. Okay. Didn't know that. Thank you guys. Yeah, okay. How can I write off or save money from 100K new boat? Loan on it, no business now. Well, remember, deductions are business expenses. So if we can make a business out of this boat or use it for a business, that's what's going to make it deductible. Simply having a W-2 job or no job and having a 100K boat doesn't mean that you are entitled to a deduction. You need some kind of business reason to have a business expense and business deduction. But I'd recommend, start some kind of chartering business or something, fishing expeditions, whatever. Now you can start writing off the cost of this boat. Boat is going to qualify for bonus depreciation, so you're going to be able to write it all off. Okay, why does the government tax so much? Well, because they're very greedy and they want money, even though they make lots of it every year. But what they haven't been doing is collecting, and they're going to start collecting again, because they're starting to send out mail again. So they're going to get even more nasty and collect more money. And it's a little bit political too, but the party that's in office right now likes collecting taxes. So we'll see what happens. Taxation is theft. That was definitely the argument of the party that sued the U.S. government after Abraham Lincoln's Civil War income tax, and they won. And then the U.S. government passed a amendment, 13th Amendment, which said, yeah, it was illegal, but now it's legal. And that's how constitutional amendments work. So yes, it was illegal, but now it's not. Okay. Can an LLC buy an RV and use both for business and personal? Yeah, and then, what you're supposed to do is bifurcate out your personal use versus business use. As long as you have enough business use, if you used it personally just for de minimis a few times here, a few times there, and it's mostly used for business, wouldn't really matter. And you don't need an LLC to buy it to do that. It could be a sole proprietorship through your Social Security number as well. It's just that you have a business, so you just need the business. I'd recommend that you have an LLC for liability protection purposes, but it's not going to change the taxability consequences of the whole thing. Do I know that term life runs out? Yeah, that's the whole reason that you're going to be able to get term life for a legitimate price. Whole life is a scam because they're saying, "Oh, it's never going to run out," and then when you at the end you can get a fat payout. So I mean, it's a product that they're selling you at a premium, versus term is you're just paying for life insurance for a certain term, and then it runs out, and then you get nothing if you're still alive. That's why it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Okay. It's a scam because, let's say, if I buy a term life insurance policy for $100,000 for $10 a month, just making these numbers up, the similar whole life policy would be $100 a month to give me $50 a month in a fund. So they take about half of your money as a fee. It's very high fee structure, very high commission structure for the insurance company. That's why they push them, because they make so much money doing it. But I mean, if you're bad at investing and it's worth 50% to you to like have that money like invested for you in like a, ETF type instrument, then go for it. Okay. Is there a banking partner you suggest for a trust? You're going to need a trustee company, and even banks that are titled trust probably aren't going to do that. Depends what state you're in. But like if you do, if we're talking about a revocable trust, I can write one up for you here. If we're talking about an irrevocable trust, you're going to need a relationship with a trust company that's their whole thing is acting as your trustee. That's what makes it irrevocable, is that you have a third party acting as a trustee. What are the ways to avoid taxes at some degree? Well, I feel like we've been talking about most of them, right? It's all about business deductions, starting a side hustle so you can take them, because Schedule A deductions really don't exist because the standard deduction is so high. So it comes down to Schedule C deductions. Hey Tyler, can I have Perla contact me? Been trying to get a hold of her. Yes, I can. Eyes for you. I'm not sure who you are though, so send me a message in the Instagram on the link, and I will, or on my profile, and I'll have Perla reach out to you. Okay. Can the government print money? The government does print money. Well, technically it's the Fed that prints money, right? And now they don't really print money. They just create money digitally. Okay, can I get deductions for my car repairs if I use it to drive to my rental property? No, because your rental property is a passive business, and that would be an active income deduction. So if you have an active management company at your rental business, then you would be able to do it. So people who rent, if you just have rentals and you're not actively managing it, is considered passive income. If you're actively managing it, you're over there sweeping the floors, talking to tenants, doing this, you spend time there, then it would be possibly a deductible expense. Now, to some extent it would be. Now, we'd want to make sure that the car is part of that business and not your personal car, because then we're going to have to bifurcate its use between personal use and business use. And if the rental property is your only office, then technically from your house to your office is not a deductible expense. It's from your office to your second office or place of work. So if you had a second office, that certainly would help. Okay, that's not your house. Haven't seen you online in a while. Been on every Friday for the last at least month. Okay. If I pay for my kids' Boy Scouts through a foundation, can I avoid taxes? Can I pay for my kids' Boy Scouts through a foundation? I'm assuming you mean, can you write off what you donated to the foundation? Yeah, to a certain extent, you can write it off. Depends what foundation is, how much you can write it off. If it's a Class A or Class B charity, you could put the money into an LLC and donate it to the foundation and write it all off that way. Against a business, it's better to do this against a business than personal. If it's less than $300, you can write it off on Schedule A. So, absolutely. Yes, eyes for you. Shoot me a message and I will have Perla give you a call. Absolutely. Okay, how can I claim sports betting profit as a business? How would this benefit me? Okay, so any kind of betting, The reason you'd want to declare it as a business is because then you can use your losses against your other income. Now, the problem is you're going up against the hobby rules. You will not be able to claim that your sports betting or any other gambling business is in fact a business unless you make money, you're profitable every other year, 3 out of 5 years. If you are, you can say you fish as a business, championship fish. You could say you gamble as a business. You can do anything that most people would do just for fun, hunt, and call it a business because you're profitable at it. But you have to be profitable every other year. And the reason that you'd want to do that is because now you can, when you are not profitable, you can use your losses against your income in your other job or business or whatever you have going on. If someone hasn't filed taxes in 10 years, where should they start to rectify? First step would be giving the IRS a call, IRS compliance call, and we'll see what they are saying happened and what they expect from the last 10 years. If you need help, give me a call. The link's in the bio. We can get that information for you quick, and then you'll know where you stand, because the only thing that matters is what the IRS thinks, because they got income information either reported to them for those 10 years or they didn't, or for some of them they did, and they may have audited you if they did for some of those older years, in which case they are charging you much more than you actually owe in taxes. So you'd want to actually redo it yourself. If it's too much for you to pay back, then it would be an offer and compromise type situation, but we still have to file first because you have to be compliant before the government will negotiate with you. How to avoid PayPal, Cash App, 1099 taxes. If you're referring to the $600 change in the law, they have issued that for now. It does not exist. They might do it next year. They said they were going to do it this year, but the IRS, the day before Christmas, decided to nix it because they couldn't handle the influx in volume of 1099s. So right now, how to avoid it would be stay under $20,000 so you don't get a 1099K, and stay under the certain number of transactions. It's going to be different for every app that would have them generate a 1099. PayPal, I believe it's 20 transactions as well. And then make sure you select friends when you're sending money around. Okay. Can you take a loss for more than 2 years? Yes. If you're doing a hobby, you could take a loss for 3 years in a row, or 2 years in a row, and then you'd have to be profitable for at least 3 years, or you could be profitable, not profitable, profitable, not profitable. Now, if you have a real business that's not a hobby, you could lose money forever. Like, let's say you have an accounting firm and it just keeps losing money and losing money and losing money. Well, no one's going to do that for fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you can lose money doing that, and then it's considered normal when you start up a business to lose money. They're not going to let you get away with that for the gambling and the hunting and the hobbies, because they will look back. So you'll be able to take the losses the first 2 years, but in that third year, you also post a loss, they're going to disallow your business as a hobby, and then you're not going to be able to take those losses you took the first year to your other income. With the hobby, you can always use the losses to the extent of the winning. So let's say you spent $100,000 at the casino and won 80, well, you can write off 80 of it as a hobby. Okay. How usually the mileage log is maintained, like take pictures of the mile before and after. There's a per diem for miles. Otherwise, there is just a calculation that you can work out to not even do it. And this is for when it's your car that you're using. An easier way to do this would be to have a corporation and have the corporation own the car. Your LLC could own the car too. That way, it's not yours, technically. Okay. Thanks, boss. You guys helped me so much with taxes. Too bad Josh not around. Yeah, he was a good guy. But we are all we're all moving on, you know, doing what we can do. And so let me see. Who helps you make my videos? Oh, I have a lovely assistant who's behind the camera, actually. Yeah, she said hi. Well, I'll tell you what is I'm kind of busy today, guys. It's been great talking to you, but I do have to go. So y'all have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday.
That was a good one.